Welcome, Daymond, John. We're so excited you got to spend some time with us today. Welcome to the One Next Step podcast, Daymond.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you are really one of the most respected voices in business. You can speak from the experience as an entrepreneur, a CEO, a leader, a consultant, an author, an investor. You have so many different experiences to glean from. So we want to kind of take some of that failure, success. We really want to take some of that and bring it to our small business community. We really want to learn, specifically talk a little bit today about monitoring and measuring progress within an organization. So goals and milestones as an organization. And I'd love to know from you where you've seen kind of small businesses get this wrong. What are some common mistakes that small business owners are making when they attempt or fail to measure or not measure progress and results and have goals throughout a business year?
It's challenging to give that answer because every business is like a person. It has its own identity. It has its own culture, its own beliefs. And there are many businesses that the reward is the change in the community, the challenging of themselves, the inspiration, and a lot are, the financial gains. But no matter what, at the end of the day, you have to have financial gains to keep the business going, regardless.
Right.
I think a lot of times people have over-focused on profits. Now, don't get me wrong, you have to keep the lights on, and there's only two ways of doing business, increase sales or reduce costs. But they've over-focused on profits. And I'm only going to say that because I have learned these things the hard way when I have only focused on profit. And I measured success by that. Instead of measuring success by, have I been pivoting? Have I been getting a new customer? Have I been adding more SKUs to my line so that I wasn't only hitting young men who wanted baggy jeans. I was also knowing that women shop 10 times over every time a man shops, and they wanted
we do.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And that they wanted to be able to touch the brand, or maybe I was selling to the mid-tier, and the people who were more class for the mass did not have enough money to buy the brand, but did I have something available for them? And even though I may not have been making a lot of profit, was I expanding the brand? So a lot of times that's where I see it. People are so profit focused, and they're not thinking about the other qualities of their brand and or product or services that they're expanding.
That's good stuff. I like that. We've talked a little bit, you were giving us some hints on where we are missing the mark sometimes as young business leaders, new startups and things like that. You also talk a lot about goals and setting the right goals. So any tips you can give us about setting goals that are ambitious, but yet at the same time attainable?
Yeah. So, talk to your team, and sometimes the team is just yourself, or maybe it's your significant other, because we know out of I think the 30 million small businesses in the country, 21 or 22 million of them are mom and are single proprietor, operations, the plumber, the personal assistant, the hairdresser, whatever the case is. But, what are the goals, and what's your why, first of all, of the goals? What is the reason why you want to accomplish these certain goals? Because you may be, again, very profit driven, or you may want to see your name in lights, but what is the end goal and what is the reward for that goal? What I've realized is a lot of people, when they set goals, they don't know what the goal is for. So somebody may say, well, I want $1 million.
Sure.
Why do you want $1 million? Do you want to buy a Bugatti? Well, that $1 million is not enough. Do you want to buy 10 cars? Do you want to buy a nice house? But what is the purpose of the nice house for your family? Right. Do you want to buy an income producing property? Do you want to live off of $30,000 a year on some island, saving the turtles and carving canoes, and the other, the remainder of the money you put in long-term equity and bonds, and you come back after 10 years and you spent $360,000 of it here, but that other money has turned into $3 million and you had the best time of your life for 10 years living on a beach. So a lot of times people don't know what their goals are. So first of all, know your why and why do you want to accomplish this? And then what is your plan of action to accomplish it? Will you put in 1 hour a day? Will you allocate a portion of the team to this? And what are the criteria of hitting the marks? You know, you can't go from New York to LA without putting together a plan. Are you going to get on a train to then go to the plane? Are you going to get on a bus? You're going to hitchhike? How are you going to do it? You're going to buy one ticket? You're going to go with family members? So a lot of times people have a goal and they're like, generally, I would love to do $10,000 in sales this month. Well, are you increasing your social media presence? Are you collaborating with other people? Are you putting in more time, more hours? What is the why and what is the method to getting that why done? And in the event you don't get it done, what's next?
Yeah, I love that. So, you have a good why, so you know what you're striving for. You put some good markers in place to keep you on track to get to your goal. I would love to know, as a CEO who manages a team, well, lots of organizations and lots of teams and investing in a lot of different people, what are some of the things as a high level entrepreneur and investor that you look for? Like, what do you measure to know a business is successful? Do you have certain metrics or numbers, or is there a certain cadence with which you're reviewing certain kind of data points? From your perspective, what are you looking at to say, I've got good progress or not?
Yeah, I'm looking at the scalability of it. I'm looking at, did we do it as cheap as possible, meaning the power of broke? Because I made the mistakes myself that I threw a lot of money at things and it never made it better. We call that spending into the curve. I look at, are people excited about it, or are people like, running out of the door at 6 o'clock in the afternoon? As soon as the bell rings, they're like Fred Flintstone, right up, hopping on their off the
Peace
dinosaur.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, peace out. I'm looking at, are people being challenged by it? I'm looking at, are you including a diversified thinking process from people in the company, whether it be color or age or gender or religion? Are we attacking it from all sides and hacking ourselves? And do you see not necessarily growth, but do you see the ability to grow? When I started my company, I just sold to 8 stores in the local New York City area, but I made sure they were in Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, and various different areas. And I got to see the scalability because I started off with 10 colors of shirts, and I realized 65% of sales in fashion are black, and then another 20% is white, and then mixed blue in between. So now I went down to 3 shirts. I had 10 logos. I went down, and only 2 were selling really well. I went down to 2 logos. And then that time, hip hop kids all wanted to wear double X. So even if a shirt was small, I would cut the small tag out of it and put double X in it.
Wow.
No man at that time wanted to say I'm wearing a small shirt. Today, it's great to say that. You know what I mean? But at
It's
that
all
time,
about the skinny fit now. Yeah.
exactly. At that time, it was like, I am small. But once I did all that, was there growth there? Yes, because what was happening is I was cutting the fat. I was getting narrow and deep on my offering. My sales would now double and triple because the kids knew what they want. I knew it. And then was it a growth in regards to a large sale? No, but I knew then immediately I can replicate that in Detroit, Miami, Chicago, and Houston.
Yeah, and it sounds like you really honed in on understanding your customer base. Like, it sounds like you knew and paid attention to what people were actually buying. So that being, that customer insight being really important to actually pivot and define your next decisions. Like eliminating colors was because your customer wasn't buying it. So I think, paying attention to what the customer's telling you. You might think red's awesome, but if nobody's buying red but you, then you got to pay attention to that layer of detail.
Yeah, and that's how we try to look at the criteria of companies growing, and what they're doing, because there's only 3 ways to deal with a customer: acquire a new one, upsell a current one, or make one buy more frequently. And acquiring a new one is 21 times harder than upselling a current one or making them buy more frequently. So as we go deeper and narrow on the customer, we consider that the steps of growth and the steps of progress, and the vice versa happens. We come out with things and nobody wants it. And we try it again and nobody wants it. And we're not excited about it. We're banging our heads on the wall and we're realizing that we're taking away from what is really keeping the lights on. It's that kind of balancing act of what we have to do when you're trying to grow, because you're going to be a real entrepreneur. You're going to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And we have to look at that and say, is it worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Did we leave everything on the field? Are we doing it smart enough? You know what? There's nothing here, guys. Let's move on.
Yeah. Well, we like to say that we're the most practical business podcast in the world. I know that's a pretty big title, right? Self-proclaimed here.
People need a how
That's
to. How to.
Yeah. So, there's so much good information here. And I think that it really gives our entrepreneurs motivation to do a next step. So if there was one thing that you could say, I love how you talked about that they have to figure out what is selling, what is not. You're going to make 2 mistakes to every one thing that goes right. But if they're looking right now at maybe a ledger, that's a piece of paper or a napkin that they've been writing down their sales, maybe they got a Google sheet and they're just like, okay, this is great information, Daymond, but what is one thing I can do today that's actionable, that's tangible, that could propel my business to that next step? Is there any one thing you could tell them to do?
Only thing I can tell them to do, and this, and I heard Warren Buffett say this, is to constantly educate themselves on what their competition is doing and where the market is going, what they haven't done already, and where they need to be stronger. I mean, Warren Buffett said it best. He said, you're not going to be able to change what happens in the world, but the only thing that's going to be stuck with you for the rest of your life is yourself. And your education,
powerful.
right? And no matter where you go, you're there. And your education, your skill set, and your ability and your knowledge is going to be the thing that either going to help you avoid landmines or look for gold mines. So it purely is education. I mean, right now, if you're that person who is home and your retail operation is shut down, are you understanding how to, convert online and build a social media presence? If you have to shut down your business, are you going to start over more wisely because you really didn't know how you were looking at your finance and you didn't have whether enough cash on hand or you didn't have enough profit margin or you were paying too much because you just weren't financially intelligent? How are you going to educate yourself in those areas? I mean, it's always going to be only education.
Yeah, I think like as leaders, right, your business will only grow as far as you grow as the owner or the CEO. Like if you limit your growth and education, you're going to limit the organization's ability to grow. So we can become the cap or the lid on growth if we don't continue to insist in our own professional development. So I know we believe that at Belay. It sounds like you do too, Daymond, that, investing in ourselves is the best gift we can give our companies to make sure that we are wiser and smarter and better and more educated tomorrow than we are today.
Yeah, and listen, I don't want people thinking that they are going to need to, listen, running a business and it's hard, right? There's so many different categories. There is manufacturer, distribution, advertising, marketing, finance, all kind of taxes, all kind of things. You can't educate yourself in everything. So if you are somebody running a business, one of the things you may need to educate yourself in is who can help me in this area? Right. How can I get somebody virtually to help me in this area or whatever the case is? Because I don't know. And I'm going to put out this fire right here. And I'm going to then educate myself on who else I need because I need to educate myself on my weaknesses. So I can focus on my strengths and bring somebody else in. So I don't want people thinking they got to read, 100 books, and be the most brilliant person tomorrow. It's just educate yourself on what you need. I mean, if you're working out, don't you need to educate yourself on nutrition and different ways to work out and, your body mass index and things like that? You got to educate yourself no matter what.
And have a mentor too. I mean, obviously that you spend a lot of time, I know, mentoring business leaders. I mean, that's pretty incredible to have somebody in your corner. So you don't have to read that big stack of books. They already read it. They're going to give you the crib version of it.
I think you said it. I think you said something that I totally forgot, and that is the truth. Life is a series of mentors. Period. Yeah. I am a product of a lifelong list of mentors. I still seek mentors. And sometimes, in my company, there's reverse mentorship. I'm Batman and everybody else is Robin, but most of the time I'm Robin and they're Batman because
Sure.
I shouldn't have hired them if they weren't smarter than me. And sometimes their mentors are the 18-year-old digital natives that are
Yeah.
communicating on the TikToks of the world and the Twitches of
Yeah.
the world. And I remember somebody said to me probably about 6 months ago, they go, "Why are you studying TikTok?" Now I haven't found my DNA on TikTok, and with this craziness, I've been a little busy. But I said
I'm going to be
because
looking. Yeah.
yeah, well, you know what I said to them? I said, why? Because the 15-year-old kid on TikTok who's on there today is going to be your consumer in 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
right.
you need to think about that. We're in this thing for the long haul, and you need to basically go back to mentorship. And who's going to mentor you the best on TikTok? Probably your daughter, your
My
son.
16-year-old daughter is
Yeah,
taking me to TikTok
e-
school every day.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And then still,
Yes.
let's not forget the people who've been, around for many years and they're seniors. They are very, very smart. They've forgotten more than you've
Mm,
learned. Or the veterans who have
yeah.
completed tasks in the most craziest circumstances and did it within a system, and there was no no. So
Yeah.
there's so many
That's
ways that
right.
you can be mentored, and if you don't have those people around you, Ben, get a digital curriculum, pick up a book,
Yeah.
find that way to get that. We're going back to education, but mentors are really, really important. They're the number one reason for success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you
Well,
got Damon on demand. So it's like we can have you all the time as our mentor.
Absolutely. We have Daymond on demand. But again, listen, what I find is why do I listen to a lot of audiobooks is because all of these books were written and or by different people that may not know each other. Everybody from Gary Vee to Napoleon Hill to Tony Robbins, whatever. But if I see the same things throughout all these books, what is a big conspiracy? No, I mean they're all telling
they're
you
on to
these ways.
something.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
onto something, so
Yeah.
why don't you listen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
I
great.
love that. So, surrounding yourself with the right variety and diversity of people, up, down, sideways, so important to success. So, one of the things that we're excited to celebrate as we launch this brand new podcast is that we are actually
Mhm.
going to be giving away some copies of your newest book, Power Shift, to some of our listeners who subscribe to our
Wow.
podcast.
Very
So,
good.
would
Thank
you?
you.
I
Yeah.
know, yes. Come on, subscribe. You can win a book. Damon, will you tell us a little bit kind of about the book, why people need to read this book, and how this book's going to change their lives?
Yeah, so I've written this is my fifth book, and this is my third in 5 years, and I'm dyslexic, and it's very challenging to write books
Mm,
when you are dyslexic because I have to go over it so many times. So I don't write books just to write them, and listen, I'm on CNBC. With the Shark Tank plays 60 times a week on CNBC, so basically we're the Kardashians of CNBC. So it's not that
yeah.
I need to try to get my name or face out there, but what I found is that whenever people come up to me and they want some kind of help or advice, I tell them to read either my book or various other books, Tim Ferriss's or whatever the case is. And I started to notice that several people said, "I've read all your books. The Power Broke, how you don't need money to make money, Rise
Mhm.
and Grind, how to maximize your 24 hours, The Brand Within." But they said, but my significant other or my parents or my boss or my friends, they won't give me the power to do that. Nobody will give me the power. And I kept saying to myself,
Mm,
who the hell thinks that it's up to somebody else to
Mm,
give you power? I'm not
yeah.
going to come to your house. I'm not going to come and take you off the couch and make you powerful. Now I will come to your house and take you off the couch if you are going to help me be powerful, and we're both going to collectively share in that power.
right.
But I said I need to write a book to show people what they need to do, and it all comes down to negotiation. Life is what you
Mhm.
negotiate. It's not what you accept. It's what you negotiate. The only thing that
Mhm.
separates us from the animal is the ability to communicate. And in communicating, we negotiate, right? We negotiate with our
Yeah.
significant other, who's getting into the bathroom before each other, or where's the remote control, or telling my daughter be quiet while I'm doing this interview. We're always negotiating all day.
Yeah.
But people got spoiled with Shark Tank. They believe that negotiation is in 8 minutes they come in and say, "Hi, sharks. I'm
Mm,
so forth." And in 8 minutes after that, they either got a deal or they don't. And that's as simple as negotiation is. And it's not. Because even though negotiations on Shark Tank can be up to 2 hours long, you only see 8 minutes of it.
right.
I had to break it down, and I wanted to show people there's 3 steps to negotiating in life. Number one is building influence. You have to
Mhm.
have an influence, and I'll get to how that happens. Number two, in the negotiation, it's not what's in it for you, it's what's in it for the person on the other side of the table. And number three is because no negotiation almost never happens the first time. That's the first date. Number three is How do you nurture that relationship after the negotiation is over? So you do 10 more deals after that, or that person tells 10 more people why they should do deals with you.
Sure.
Right.
Somebody said to me, well, how can I build influence, Daymond? I met you in the elevator. I never knew that I was going to see you. 90 seconds, I'm in the elevator with you. I said, well, here's how you do it. Hey, Mr. John, I think there's some value that I can add to you. This is what I do. And, you could probably check into me, whatever you want. Here's a card or whatever the case is, and you can give me a shot. And if you want to, I can add value to you here. And if there's something else for us to do in the future, then hopefully something will come out of that. And I don't want to waste your time. Maybe I'll see you down the road. I'm fascinated if you tell me what you do, obviously, in that little bit of time. So that happened to me with a woman one day. I was in the elevator. And I got out of the elevator, and you know where her influence was? I did it naturally what everybody does. When I got out of the elevator, I looked her up right here. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
She didn't have time to build influence in the elevator. The little bit of influence she built was she was fascinating. She had a good business, and she said, I want to work with you and make your life better. So naturally, okay, I want to give you a shot.
Yeah,
When I
I
looked
want
her
a
up
better
here,
life.
I looked her up here on social media. She looked great, but she kept taking a picture with this guy, and I kept looking at who's this guy, and this guy always had on a Confederate flag T-shirt or a Confederate flag hat. And then I looked further into it, and that's her husband. Well, I guess she thinks the same way. Listen, it's up to them how they think, but she'll never know why I never called her.
Right.
Because I was interested in calling her, but that was the influence that she was building, right?
Good or
So,
bad.
good or bad. Now,
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
seen people where I go on, and you know what? They're always upbeat. They're always talking positivity. You know what? They know that I'm on the Petco Foundation board for saving our little furry friends, and I see that they like to save our little furry friends too that can't fight for themselves. We believe in the same thing. They're teachers or whatever the case is. And even during the hard time, they're upbeat. And you know what? I want those people around me because I want them to always be able to uplift the team as well. Right? They built a different influence, and I want to know more about them. And I think they're so amazing that I don't want them to work with anybody else because we're going to do some amazing stuff together.
Yeah.
That's just how it happens. So that's what we share in Power Shift. And I put in there, I think 12 subjects from around the world and of various different areas. I put in there, I interviewed Billie Jean King, who changed the face of sports, Lindsey Vonn, who is the most winningest skier in the world. And for 4 years, she practices to win over a millisecond amongst the greatest skiers in the entire world. I put in there Pitbull, Mr. 305, Mark Cuban, Kris Jenner, who takes 3 girls that nobody knows and makes them now 6 girls or 10 girls. I don't know how many girls it is, but they're all a massive business. But then I also put in there Crystal, who is our virtual assistant from Belay, who understood that she needed to power shift at a certain time in her life. And she was prepared for this situation we're in now because of the homework that she did out of what she felt was a necessity during a time when she was going through a challenge in her life. And I showed the same common denominator with all those people that people right now, when they read the book, they can take home for themselves and start putting real steps forward on what they need to do to make that power shift during these crazy times.
Well, Daymond, I have loved all of your books. I've read them all. And
Really?
I really
Thank
do
you.
think that, yes, I do. And I really think that you live up to your name, The People's Shark, because you're so relatable. You have a wonderful, beautiful story. You have a beautiful family. I love following you on social media. Minka, she is it, man. She is it.
Thank you.
I love the little tie she made for you for Father's Day. But so thank you. I wanted to see you wearing it today, but no, your influence and just your love of wanting to help people and entrepreneurs is so inspirational. So I know you are super busy. I appreciate you spending time and being with us on our podcast today. So thank you for sharing and imparting wisdom.
Thank you so much. And congratulations on everything. And thank you for educating people. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Daymond.